who's actually going to benefit from a 14-inch mobile workstation like the HP ZBook 8 G1i, and who would be better off steering clear? More importantly, does the price make sense for someone who just needs a reliable work laptop instead of a full-blown desktop replacement? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Those are the questions that keep most buyers up at night, especially when the market is flooded with gaming-grade laptops that promise performance, but often fall short in real-world office scenarios. In this video, I'm going to walk through what the ZBook 8 actually delivers once you take it out of the box, where the hidden trade-offs lie, and whether the price tag is justified for everyday professionals. Let's start with the context. A mobile workstation sits in a sweet spot between a consumer notebook and a stationary workhorse. You're typically looking for a machine that can handle CAD files, 3D renders, or video timelines without turning your coffee break into a thermal throttling nightmare. At the same time, you still need something you can slip into a backpack, plug into a docking station, and run all day on a battery. The ZBook 8 aims to hit that mark with a 14-inch WUXGA panel, an Intel Core Ultra 5235H, vPro for remote management, 16 GB of RAM, and a 512 GB SSD. Those headline numbers sound decent on paper, but the real question is how they translate when you're actually editing a Revit model on a train or running a Python-based AI script in a coffee shop. First, who should consider buying this machine? If you're a field engineer, an architect who does a lot of on-site revisions, or a data analyst who needs to run moderately heavy analytics software while traveling, the ZBook 8's size and weight become a genuine advantage. The 14-inch screen strikes a balance, big enough to see details in a spreadsheet or a PDF blueprint, yet compact enough to fit in most airline overhead bins. The Intel Core Ultra 5235H, while not a top-tier i9, gives you enough cores to keep AutoCAD, SolidWorks, or even Lightroom responsive during typical work sessions. The 16 GB of RAM is the sweet spot for multitasking with a few virtual machines, or a browser full of tabs, something you'll appreciate when you need to reference specs while drafting. The 512 GB SSD provides snappy boot times and fast file access, which matters when you're pulling large project files from a network drive and can't afford to wait minutes for them to load. Now, who should skip it? If you're a video editor dealing with 4K raw footage daily, or a game developer compiling massive shaders, the Core Ultra 5 will feel cramped. The processor is more akin to a mid-range laptop chip than a workstation-class Xeon, so expect longer render times compared to a high-end Dell Precision, or a MacBook Pro with an M2 maximum. Similarly, if you need a workstation that can be upgraded over the years, say, adding more RAM or swapping in a higher-end GPU, the ZBook 8's internal design is relatively closed. The 14-inch chassis limits the space for a dedicated graphics card, so you're mostly stuck with integrated graphics, or whatever HP has slotted in at factory configuration. For power users who demand the absolute best performance per dollar, those constraints make the ZBook 8 a compromise rather than a solution. Let's talk about practical strengths that show up once you start using the laptop day-to-day. The first thing I noticed is the consistent thermal behavior under sustained load. In my testing, running a medium-sized 3D model in Fusion 360 for an hour kept the fan noise at a moderate level, and the chassis never got uncomfortably hot on the palm side. That matters a lot when you're on a client site and need to keep the laptop on a small table for a presentation. The vPro technology is another quiet win. IT departments can push updates, encrypt disks, and remotely lock the machine if it's lost or without the user having to intervene. For freelancers who travel a lot, that adds a layer of security without any extra software purchase. On the flip side, the practical weaknesses become evident when you push the machine beyond its sweet spot. Battery life, for instance, hovers around 5 to 6 hours with mixed usage email, web browsing, and occasional spreadsheet work. If you're running a full-blown simulation, or a heavy video encode, the battery drops to 3 hours or less. That's not terrible for a workstation, but it's a factor you need to plan around if you're often away from power outlets. Another drawback is the display's brightness. The WUXGA panel is crisp at 1920x1200, but its 250 nit rating makes it hard to see in bright sunlight. On a construction site under a clear sky, you'll find yourself pulling a hood over the screen or moving into shade just to read the details. That's a small, but real inconvenience that many field users overlook until they are on location. One more nuanced point: the AI-powered label on the spec sheet. HP markets the ZBook 8 as AI-ready, which basically means the Intel Core Ultra line includes built-in AI acceleration instructions. In practice, you'll only notice a benefit if